I was 12 when Dad first told me I wasn't leadership material. We were at dinner. One of those formal Sunday meals where Dad held court about business while Mom nodded approvingly and my older brother Jason absorbed every word like gospel. Leadership is innate, Dad announced, cutting his steak with surgical precision. You either have the instinct or you don't. It can't be taught. Jason, 16 and already insufferable, agreed immediately. That's why some people are born to lead and others are born to follow. Dad smiled at him. Exactly right, son. You understand. I'd asked a simple question about why our family company, Sterling Industries, had lost a major contract that month. I'd read about it in the business section, something Dad didn't know I did religiously. That's complex business strategy, Rebecca, Dad said dismissively. Not something you need to worry about. Focus on your schoolwork. But the article said the client switched because of outdated production methods. Rebecca. His voice went cold. The boardroom isn't a place for children's opinions. When you're older, you'll understand that business requires a certain caliber of thinking. The implication was clear. I didn't have it. Mom patted my hand. Sweetheart, not everyone is cut out for high-level management. There's no shame in finding a nice stable career. Something administrative, maybe. We can't all be like your father and Jason. I was 12. And I learned to keep my observations to myself. Sterling Industries was a third-generation manufacturing company specializing in industrial components. My grandfather built it from nothing in 1958. By the time I was born, it employed 800 people and generated about $200 million in annual revenue. Dad became CEO when I was 8 after Grandpa's death. Jason was being groomed as heir apparent from birth. Literally. There are photos of him as a toddler sitting in Grandpa's office chair wearing a tiny suit. I was an afterthought. The second child. The daughter. The one who asked too many questions and didn't have executive presence. Jason went to Princeton. I went to State University because Dad said private school was an investment in future leaders, and I should be practical about career expectations. Jason majored in business with a minor in economics. I majored in industrial engineering with a minor in finance. Jason barely passed. I graduated summa cum laude. At his graduation, Dad threw a party at the country club. At mine, I got a card with a $50 gift certificate to Olive Garden. Jason joined Sterling Industries immediately as Assistant Vice President of Operations, a title Dad created for him. I applied for an entry-level position in production planning. Dad rejected my application. It would look like nepotism, he explained over the phone. You need to build experience elsewhere first. Earn your place. Jason had literally never worked anywhere else. I got a job at Brennan Manufacturing, one of Sterling's competitors. Started as a junior production analyst making $42,000 a year. I worked 60-hour weeks, learned every aspect of manufacturing operations and made myself indispensable. Within 18 months I was promoted to senior analyst. Within 3 years, production manager. By year 5, I was director of operations making $140,000 and managing a $50 million production budget. I was good at my job. Really good. I could see inefficiencies others missed. Identify cost-saving opportunities. Streamline processes. Improve quality metrics. My innovations saved Brennan $8 million in my first 3 years. Meanwhile, Jason was running Sterling Industries into the ground. He wasn't incompetent exactly, he was worse. He was confidently mediocre. He'd inherited Dad's arrogance without any of the business acumen that had made Grandpa successful. I watched from the outside as Sterling lost market share. As employee turnover increased. As profit margins shrank. As longtime clients quietly switched to competitors like Brennan. The industry publications were brutal. Sterling Industries struggling to adapt to modern manufacturing demands. Once dominant player losing ground to more agile competitors. Questions about leadership succession at family-owned manufacturer. Dad and Jason blamed external factors. The economy. Foreign competition. Shifting market conditions. Never their own decisions. I said nothing. I wasn't part of Sterling Industries. My opinions weren't wanted. But I watched. And I planned. When I was 29, I did something that would change everything. Sterling Industries was publicly traded. Had been since Grandpa took it public in 1985. But Dad's family maintained controlling interest through ownership of 51% of shares. The remaining 49% was held by various institutional and private investors. It was a closely held stock, not heavily traded. Most shareholders were long-term investors who'd held positions for decades. I'd been investing aggressively since my first job, living below my means, maxing out retirement accounts, building a diversified portfolio. By age 29, I had $380,000 in liquid assets. I used every penny to start buying Sterling Industries stock. I bought slowly. Small lots purchased through different brokerage accounts. Never enough volume to trigger attention. Never in patterns that would show up on trading reports that Dad or Jason might actually read, which they didn't. Sterling's stock was undervalued due to poor performance. Shares that had traded at $85 10 years earlier were now at $34. The market had lost confidence in Dad's leadership. But I knew something the market didn't. Sterling had incredible bones. Great facilities. Loyal workforce. Strong client relationships that could be rebuilt. Valuable patents. Prime real estate. The company wasn't failing because of bad fundamentals. It was failing because of bad leadership. I bought 50,000 shares over 18 months. Cost me everything I had and required taking out a margin loan. I was leveraged to the breaking point. Then I waited. And I kept working at Brennan, kept excelling, kept building my reputation in the industry. By 31, I was vice president of operations at Brennan, making $220,000 a year. I'd been featured in Manufacturing Today magazine as one of the industry's rising leaders under 35. I'd spoken at conferences, built relationships with industry analysts, institutional investors, and manufacturing executives across the country. None of my family attended my speaking engagements. I don't think they even knew about them. During this time, I quietly made friends with Sterling's institutional shareholders. Large investment funds that owned significant blocks of stock. I attended shareholder meetings which were open to any shareholder, and sat in the back saying nothing, just observing. I watched Dad and Jason present quarterly results with increasing desperation as numbers continued declining. I watched shareholders ask pointed questions that neither could answer satisfactorily. I watched confidence erode. When I was 32, the opportunity arrived. Sterling's board initiated a leadership review. Performance had been declining for 7 consecutive quarters. The stock price had dropped another 30%. Major shareholders were getting vocal about wanting change. The board, which included 3 family members and 4 outside directors, met to discuss CEO succession planning. Dad was 68. Transition was inevitable. Jason was the presumptive successor. He'd been VP of operations for 10 years. He was family. He was Dad's chosen heir. But the outside directors were skeptical. They'd watched Jason's performance. They'd seen the continued decline. They wanted alternatives. The board commissioned an executive search firm to identify potential CEO candidates, both internal and external. That's when I made my move. Through a trusted intermediary, a former colleague who now worked in executive search, I let it be known that I might be interested in leadership opportunities in the manufacturing sector. My resume was impressive. VP of operations at a $400 million company at age 32. Track record of operational excellence. Industry recognition. Proven turnaround experience. The search firm approached me. Would you be interested in the CEO position at Sterling Industries? Sterling. I said, feigning surprise. That's my family's company. We're aware. Would that be a problem? Not for me. But it might be for them. The board is committed to selecting the best candidate regardless of family politics. Are you interested? Send me the details. I interviewed with the board search committee. 3 outside directors, none of whom recognized me. I'd been excluded from family business for so long that even the board members didn't know what I looked like. I presented a detailed turnaround plan. Specific strategies for improving operational efficiency, modernizing production, rebuilding client relationships, and returning to profitability. This analysis is remarkably insightful, one director said. You seem to understand Sterling's weaknesses intimately. I've followed the company for years, I replied. And I've competed against them professionally. I know where they're vulnerable and where they're strong. The current leadership team would need to be restructured, another director noted. Including the CEO's son who currently serves as VP of Operations. Any leadership team should be evaluated purely on merit and performance, I said carefully. Family relationships shouldn't protect incompetence or prevent excellence. They loved that answer. I interviewed with the full board. Dad wasn't present. Conflict of interest during his own succession planning. Jason wasn't included, he was under evaluation himself. I presented my vision for Sterling Industries 2.0. Modernization. Efficiency. Innovation. Growth. You're young, one family board member said doubtfully. Only 32. The CEO role requires gravitas. I'm the same age your founder was when he started this company, I replied. And I've already proven I can run operations at scale. Age is less relevant than capability. The board deliberated for 3 weeks. During that time, I had quiet conversations with the institutional shareholders I'd been cultivating relationships with. I owned 50,000 shares personally. But several funds collectively owned another 800,000 shares. If I were CEO, I told them, Sterling would return to profitability within 18 months. I'd modernize operations, cut waste, rebuild market position. Your investment would recover. They were listening. The board vote was close, 4-3 in my favor. The 4 outside directors voted for me. The 3 family members voted for Jason. But majority ruled. I was offered the position of CEO of Sterling Industries. I accepted. The press release went out on a Wednesday morning. Sterling Industries announces new CEO, Rebecca Sterling Morrison, to lead manufacturing turnaround. My phone exploded with calls from Dad, Jason, Mom, various relatives. I ignored all of them. The board scheduled a formal announcement for Friday. A shareholders meeting where I'd be introduced as the new chairman and CEO, where I'd present my strategic vision, and where the transition would be made official. I told no one in my family that I'd be there. On Friday morning I received a call from Dad. Rebecca, you need to withdraw from this CEO position. Good morning, Dad. I'm well, thanks for asking. This isn't funny. You're embarrassing the family. Jason is supposed to take over Sterling. That's been the plan for 30 years. Plans change when performance doesn't meet expectations. You went behind our backs. You manipulated the board. I interviewed for a position I was qualified for. The board selected the candidate they felt was best suited to lead the company. That's how meritocracy works. You have no right. I have every right. I'm a shareholder. I'm a qualified executive. I'm family whether you've acknowledged it or not. And I'm the board's choice. If you do this, you're out of the family. Completely. No inheritance. No relationship. Nothing. Dad, you cut me out of the family when I was 12 years old. You've just never made it official until now. I accept your terms. I hung up. That afternoon I went to Sterling Industries headquarters for the first time in 23 years. Not as a rejected daughter. As chairman and CEO. The shareholders meeting was held in the main conference center. About 100 people attended. Board members, major shareholders, company executives, media representatives. Dad and Jason were already there, sitting in the front row with Mom and several other family members. They looked confident. Smug even. They didn't know I was the new CEO. The press release had said Rebecca Sterling Morrison. My married name. They'd never connected it to me. I stood in the back of the room as the board chairman, William Hartley, called the meeting to order. Thank you all for attending today's special shareholders meeting, he began. As you know, Sterling Industries has been undergoing a leadership transition. After extensive evaluation, the board has selected a new chairman and CEO to guide our company forward. Dad was smiling slightly. He thought Jason was about to be announced. Our new leader brings extensive manufacturing experience, proven operational excellence and deep understanding of our industry, William continued. Please join me in welcoming Sterling Industries' new chairman and CEO. I started walking toward the front. Rebecca Sterling Morrison. The room erupted in applause. Dad's smile vanished. His face went white. Jason's mouth literally fell open. Mom gasped audibly. I walked to the podium with my head high, wearing a navy suit that cost more than Dad's car payment. Confident. Professional. Prepared. William shook my hand warmly. Welcome, Rebecca. Thank you, William. I'm honored by the board's confidence. I turned to face the room. Made eye contact with Dad. Jason. Mom. Then I looked past them to the shareholders, the executives, the future. Good afternoon, I said. For those who don't know me, I'm Rebecca Sterling Morrison. My grandfather founded this company 67 years ago. I've spent the past 14 years building expertise in manufacturing operations, most recently as VP of Operations at Brennan Manufacturing. I'm here today because I love this company, I understand its potential, and I'm committed to restoring Sterling Industries to industry leadership. Dad stood up abruptly. This is inappropriate. The board can't just. Mr. Sterling, William interrupted firmly, you're no longer CEO. Please sit down or leave the meeting. Dad's face turned purple. But he sat. I continued with my presentation. Detailed analysis of Sterling's current challenges. Specific strategies for improvement. Timelines. Metrics. Goals. The shareholders were engaged, asking intelligent questions. I answered every one with specificity and confidence. After 40 minutes I concluded. Sterling Industries' best days aren't behind us. They're ahead of us. Under my leadership we'll modernize, innovate and compete. Thank you. Strong applause. Several shareholders approached afterward to introduce themselves and express support. Dad, Jason and Mom remained seated looking stunned. Finally, as the room cleared, Dad approached me. Rebecca. We need to talk. Do we? You can't do this. You're destroying everything Jason was meant to inherit. Jason was meant to inherit a company he'd successfully run. He hasn't. The board recognized that. I'm the solution. Your family, Mom said, her voice breaking. How could you do this to your brother? How could you do what you did to me? I replied quietly. Dismiss me. Exclude me. Tell me I wasn't leadership material. Refuse to hire me. Never acknowledge my achievements. Make me feel worthless for 32 years. We never said you were worthless, Dad protested. You said it every day. In every decision. Every exclusion. Every dismissal. You just never used the actual word. Jason found his voice. You're stealing my inheritance. I'm not stealing anything. I earned this position. The board chose me based on merit. Something neither of you understand. The family won't accept this, Dad said. The family doesn't have a choice. I'm the chairman. And as of this morning, with stock purchases finalized this week, I own 18% of the company personally, making me the second largest individual shareholder after your family trust. Dad's eyes widened. You've been buying stock? For years. Quietly. Wiggly. I believed in Sterling's potential even when leadership didn't. Now I have both the authority and the ownership stake to fix what you broke. What happens now? Mom asked. Now. I start on Monday. I'll be reviewing all executive positions for performance and fit. Those who aren't meeting standards will be transitioned out. Jason went pale. You're firing me? I'm evaluating you. The same way I'd evaluate any executive. If you can demonstrate value and competence, there may be a role for you. If not. I shrugged. There are other opportunities in the world. This is family betrayal, Dad said bitterly. No, Dad. This is business. The thing you always said I didn't understand. Turns out I understand it better than you do. I picked up my portfolio. I have meetings to prepare for. Enjoy the rest of your day. I walked away from them. Heard Mom crying. Heard Jason swearing. Heard Dad making angry phone calls. I didn't look back. Monday morning I arrived at Sterling Industries at 6:30 a.m. My office, the CEO's suite that had been Dad's, had been prepared over the weekend. I spent the first week in individual meetings with every department head. Asked questions. Listened. Took notes. The employees were wary at first. Then cautiously hopeful. Then genuinely excited. You actually understand the production floor, one manager said with amazement. Your father never set foot in manufacturing. That's because I started my career there, I replied. I know how things really work. I reviewed Jason's performance over his 10-year tenure. It was worse than I'd thought. Cost overruns. Missed deadlines. Poor vendor relationships. Low employee morale in operations. I called him into my office on Friday of my first week. Jason, I've completed my evaluation of the operations division. He sat stiffly, defensively. And? Your performance hasn't met standards. The division has declined significantly under your leadership. I'm restructuring operations and your position is being eliminated. You're firing me. I'm eliminating a redundant role and reallocating resources. You'll receive 6 months severance and outplacement support. Dad will never forgive you. Dad doesn't run this company anymore. I do. He left without another word. Over the next 6 months, I transformed Sterling Industries, modernized production systems, renegotiated supplier contracts, rebuilt relationships with lost clients, improved quality control, invested in employee training, cut waste ruthlessly. I worked 80-hour weeks, lived at the office, proved myself every single day. The numbers told the story. Quarter 1, operating losses reduced by 35%. Quarter 2, return to profitability. Quarter 3, revenue up 12%. Quarter 4, profit margins at highest level in 8 years. The stock price recovered from $28 to $52. Industry publications that had written Sterling's obituary now featured our turnaround as a case study. Sterling Industries' remarkable revival under new leadership. How Rebecca Sterling Morrison saved her family's company. The CEO who came home to fix what others broke. My parents didn't attend the annual shareholder meeting where I presented year 1 results to standing applause. Jason took a job at a small manufacturing firm in another state. We don't speak. Mom sends occasional emails. I miss you. Can we talk? Please call. I don't respond. Dad sent one letter 6 months after I took over. I opened it. Rebecca, I was wrong about you. I see that now. You've accomplished what I couldn't. The company is thriving. I'm proud of you even if I never showed it properly. Is there any chance we could meet for dinner? Dad. I filed the letter away. Didn't respond. Maybe someday. But not now. Not when I'm proud of you only came after I succeeded in spite of them. Not when the relationship only mattered once I had something they couldn't dismiss. I'm 34 now. Sterling Industries is profitable, growing, and competitive. We've won back major clients. Hired excellent people. Innovated continuously. Last month, we acquired one of our competitors, Brennan Manufacturing, where I'd built my early career. The executive team there had declined and their board approached me about a merger. I bought them. Integrated them. Strengthened our market position. Sometimes I walk through the manufacturing floor and remember being 12 years old, asking questions that Dad dismissed. Sometimes I sit in the CEO's office and remember applying for entry-level jobs that Dad rejected. Sometimes I attend board meetings and remember the family dinners where I was told leadership couldn't be taught and I simply didn't have the instinct. And I smile. Because they were wrong about all of it. Leadership can absolutely be taught. I taught myself while they weren't paying attention. The instinct for business? I had it all along. They just refused to see it. Management material? I'm running the company they almost destroyed. My desk has a photo from Grandpa's office. Him standing in front of Sterling Industries' original facility in 1958, when it was just a small warehouse and big dreams. Under it, I placed a plaque with his favorite quote, "Success is the best response to those who doubt you." He knew what it took to build something from nothing. He would have been proud. And unlike my parents, I think he would have seen my potential all along. The intercom buzzes. My assistant's voice. "Miss Sterling Morrison, the board is ready for the quarterly review." "Thank you, Patricia. I'll be right there." I stand, straighten my jacket, pick up my presentation materials. 23 years ago they told me I'd never run this company. Today I'm its chairman and CEO. Turns out, never was just another thing they were wrong about. I walk to the boardroom with my head high. Some people are born to lead. Others have to prove it. I did both.